Yeah, I think that as human beings, we need a sense of how we are related to the world, or you could say the universe, or life, or nature. Right? We know two forms of experience there. One is that we really live in a silent, indifferent, maybe even cold or hostile universe. And the other sense is that we live in a kind of world which is connected to us, which speaks to us, right? Which might be benevolent and even kind of calling us and answering us, right? So the basic question is, what lies at the bottom of our existence, right? What is the basic form of being in the universe? And I think we need to keep both senses alive, so to speak. There is the silent, hostile universe, and we face it when we are close to death, for example, and desperation and war. It's human reality. But we also know this other form of a kind of answering, responsive relationship. And for me, religion is the idea that there is this calling, this answering reality, right? I mean, when you think of the Bible, for example, it's full of ideas that God has given us the breath of life, right? This is a form of responsiveness, or of what I call resonance. And I think for a complete human life, we need to have both forms and both senses, right? If we lose this sense of a vital, vibrant connection, you could say, to the universe, right? Then we are really bound to the mode of aggression we live in this modern society, where all the time you have to struggle for a legitimate place in the world, and it feels quite desperate, of course. And I'm not saying that I'm a sociologist, right? I'm not propagating or advocating a certain form of belief or a certain form of religion. People find vertical resonance also in music, for example, or in other arts and in literature, and sometimes in nature. But we definitely need to have one vertical axis of resonance. Yes, I think we really need to move beyond this dichotomy where digital media are either the devil or the savior, right, are made for salvation, because obviously they are ambivalent, right? I mean, I think it's very obvious that sometimes we use digital media, right, like and social media and the smartphone to establish relationships of resonance, right? For example, when people find a voice similar to their own, a voice they can talk to through the social media channels, right? So sometimes people are totally lonely because of their belief, because of their forms of living or loving, right? Or their specific abilities. And then it's very clear that digital media can provide a way of connection and also a safe form of communication. And the other great advantage of digital media is that if you have a loved one, you have a relationship of resonance with a friend or a family member who is far apart in other parts of the world, then digital media can provide a channel of resonance, really. So I think it would be mad to say that digital media always kill benevolent, fruitful forms of life. Nevertheless, we also have to face the fact that somehow there seems to be something addictive to them, right? We are kind of glued to them, and while we do it, it's a kind of, for many people it's a sense, or what goes with it is a sense of alienation, of not real connection, right? I might have hundreds of titles of music through streaming media like Spotify and others. I might have hundreds or thousands of friends on the digital media, and somehow I still feel alone and cut off. And I think it also has to do with the fact that it's a kind of a non-bodily connection with others, right? It's just the eyes, and the way we interact with social media, it's a very monotonous way. The thumb is always moving over a totally smooth surface. Whatever I do, whether I play or whether I get information or whether I am in communication, it's either see my eyes or I see your eyes when I look to the screen. But this resonant, vibrant bodily relationship, of course, is not there. So I think we have to look at both sides, but it would be too easy to say that digital media are just killing forms of resonance. think this is completely right, that resonance is an idea of transcendence. It's, so to speak, an immanent transcendence in a certain way, right? Because whenever we have a sense of resonance, it's the sense of being connected with something that is a source of value in itself. Something is important out there, right? Something is speaking to me. Something is meaningful in itself, even though I don't quite understand it, right? Resonance it's a sense, it's an experience actually, which arises of a sense of being in contact with something which we do not completely control. Uncontrollability is a vital element of resonance. So resonance is a sense of there is something out there which is important in itself, and of course that's an element of transcendence, something that goes beyond or is beyond myself, right? And is a source of value. And of course we can have such a relationship to God if we are believing, but when people, for example, when they walk in the mountains, right, they feel called by the mountains. They feel a presence there, right? Something is here. And some people speak of this when they go to a museum. There's a painting, right? You would say there's something in this painting, right? And this is actually an experience of transcendence, but it goes together with what Charles Taylor, the Canadian philosopher, calls strong evaluation. It's a sense that there is something which is important, even if I dislike it, right? And of course, we very often have this sense when we are in contact with other people, even in love, for example, right? Then the experience is this other person, right, is valuable, and I don't completely control it, and I might feel it's more important than myself, right? Even in soccer, sometimes fans say, you know, the team is more important than my own existence, which is a bit mad, but all of these things are experiences of self-transcendence, something out there as a source of value calling me, and I connect with it, and in this connection I'm transformed. So actually these are two religious ideas, right? Transcendence, something out there which I don't quite understand, which I don't completely get, is valuable, right? And through contact with it, I'm transformed. So, but you can use it or we experience it in all kinds of non-religious secular settings. So resonance is kind of bridging the gap between the two.